Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Flex and Reflect Sunday Sit Down. You can see I'm in the office today. Even though it's sunny outside, it's actually quite cold. So I wanted to stay a little bit warmer today. All right, let's tear into the questions. If this is the first time that you are tuning in every single week for about, I think this is we're up to episode 25. I answer once a week on a Sunday the questions that have been either asked by clients, sent in from around the world. And so I sit down and answer them here in this one moment here. It goes for about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the question. I've got more questions than I can answer today, but we will see how we go. So I've got the questions on this side of the screen if I'm not looking at you. What is a lesser known productivity hack that has dramatically improved your efficiency in managing both your personal and professional life? Well, funny you asked that because I just recorded an episode today, which is episode 1264, I think it is. Yeah, which I call it the weekly reset. It's just been posted. And in that, one of the things that I found over time is I was having great weeks for certain number of weeks. And then for whatever reason, I would just drift back to perhaps older habits that I wasn't doing all the things. And it would take me a couple of weeks before I would realize, why am I not being as productive, getting as much done as I was, say, a few weeks ago? And so then I started to record down what were those key things that I thought I needed to do every single day to achieve the outcomes that I wanted, to feel good, to make progress, et cetera, et cetera. Part of that was to do with what I'm eating, the supplements I was taking, which supplements I was taking, how often I was doing my workouts, when I was doing my workouts, how many steps a day I was doing, both structured and incidental if I was going out for a walk, the types of foods I was eating, the types of workouts that I was doing, the type of learning that I was doing, what I was reading, how long I was working, how many days a week I was working, et cetera, et cetera. And over a period of time, and there was a lot of testing and measuring with this, I worked out what those key things were for me to help me see that I'm making progress every single day. And so now, fast forward probably 10 years later, what I do is every Sunday, I sit down. Um, where I'm most efficient at it, to be honest, is offsite somewhere. And so whether I go to my library, I might go to a local cafe or something like that and have something healthy to eat. And I'll sit there for 90 minutes on my iPad and I'm planning out my entire week. So what I do is I just use my Apple Notes, but I have this page on there where I focus on what are the key things that I want to have achieved by this time next week. So in 7 days' time. And I think about what are those transformational things that I want to get done. Now, of course, in our lives, we have a lot of transactional things. So transactional, I'm talking about, say, cleaning the house, cooking meals, washing the car, filling the car up with petrol, all those sorts of things. And the transformational things for me are things like, okay, so I'm working on a biography video of me at the moment. So that's potentially transformational because it's focusing on how I can use that in the future. Marketing campaigns, a web page, landing page, that kind of stuff, building a relationship, recording podcasts with people. So I think in this week coming ahead, I think I've got 3 podcasts booked in with different individuals, and they're transformational because that's the opportunity to build relationships and all that kind of stuff. So I focus on a Sunday in identifying what those things are. Then every Sunday, I look at, so what have I accomplished? What can I learn from those things that I've done and what I haven't done? Celebrate oh yeah, great. Look how much you've done. I probably spend more time focusing on the things that I haven't done or the things that I need to do in this coming week. And to have a bit of an assessment so I can see what can I learn from what's happened and how do I keep moving forward. And so I find that on Sunday is super, super productive for me and efficient. And then I book all the key things into my schedule for the week, because if you don't allocate time to these things, they won't just magically happen. So that's super important for me to do every single week. And the other thing that I would say is when I first started doing that exercise that I started with, telling you about, I would do that Monday to Friday, which is really interesting now that I look back because I haven't looked at my life in terms of Monday to Friday for, gosh, it'd have to be 10 years, I reckon. And so that is a massive change for me. And so now for me, work is 7 days a week. I mean, why would I do this on a Sunday? Well, it helps set me up for success, reflecting on the week that was, continuing to add value to people. So it doesn't mean I'm working 24/7, 24/7. I still rest. I still do those things that fulfill me. But yeah, I'm focused more than most people. I've got more energy than most people, and I just keep pushing forward. So for me, one of the keys is setting up on a Sunday and a Saturday, my whole household. They go and have a listen to episode 1264. You can hear me on the Mental Toughness and Body Show. You can hear me talk more about the details. But I want to go to bed Sunday night with confidence, knowing that I've set my week up for success. And that's probably the the most important change that I've made in my life. It's certainly in the last 6 years, 6 to 10 years. Next question, how do you balance high performance with ensuring adequate rest and recovery, especially for clients with demanding schedules? So I don't think I have a client that has a more demanding schedule than me, but just like I said there, I have a very intense life and how I manage myself, because I'm consistently looking to outperform myself from one week to the next. I'm not competing against anyone else except myself to make sure that I am consistently achieving the things that I can achieve, because I'm doing more than most people do, because I want more success than most people want, and I'm prepared to do the work that most people aren't prepared to do. So the way that I manage myself is to identify those things that fill me up. Because I could say to you, you should sit down on a couch and read a book, but I might find that really fulfilling. But for me, it's got to be a certain type of book, not a novel. It's got to be something where I'm going to learn, but that may not do it for you. So that's not going to work for you. So you've got to identify those key things that you see as, this is relaxing, this is unwinding, and this is also empowering me. So one of the things that I enjoy to do, apart from that self-development work, which people see as work, but I see it as relaxing, is I'll have a nice hot bath. I'll jump in my sauna. I will go for a walk. And those things really fill me up. I'll watch a movie, but I can never just watch a movie. I'm always watching a movie and planning out the week or doing something to so I make sure that I'm optimizing my time. So I think the key is to find what are those things for you and do them on a regular basis. I make sure that I find at least 15 minutes to half an hour every single day to spend it on me. And that might be playing some games on my phone to switch my brain off, and also like they're puzzle type games, so that I'm using another part of my brain to solve problems. And that helps me sort of refocus on other things as well and kind of unwind. You may not find that relaxing. I just find it is. And so you've got to keep giving back to yourself and find a spot to do that every single day. Going for the walk, for instance, is really good for me. Doing a workout 3 times a week, that's also really good for me as well. So there's some of the things that I do for me, and I then teach clients what they need to do to tap into those things so that they keep rejuvenating themselves, because we all have busy lives. It's just as to how busy. I could explain every single thing that I do in my life, and you say, man, that's insane. Other people might say, yeah, that's really good. My schedule is similar. All right. Next one. What is a book or resource outside the realm of health and fitness that has profoundly impacted your personal development? All right, good question. I mean, I have read many different books over time. Let me just pause for a moment and think. The very first book that I ever read in the space of personal improvement was, um, I'm trying to think of the name of it now. So I want to get it right. I've got it on my bookshelf over my shoulder here. I think it's called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And I never finished reading the book. I've done a whole other podcast on that, and the regret that I have with that. Probably the best book that I've read to inspire me from a business perspective, personal perspective, is from my coach, JT Fox, which is called Millionaire Underdog. And so that's the answer to that one, in short. I've years ago, a decade ago, probably, I did some work with Tony Robbins. I've tried to read his books. Honestly, they don't do it for me. His programs do, but the books are just, they just don't do it for me. But his stuff has helped with my mindset early on, but now I just work with my coach. All right. Oh, let's see. Okay. Gee, let's do this one. How do you celebrate your clients' milestones, both big and small, to keep them motivated and engaged? For me personally, again, I'll say, yay, awesome, good job. What's next? It's almost as quick as that. I say, wow, that's really cool. But what's next? And I guess that's enabled me to not get lost in moments and to enjoy it, but then focus on, all right, so let's just keep moving forward because that's what's important to us. What's next? What's next? When it comes to my clients, every person is different. So whether you're left brain, right brain, for me, left brain, it's like, okay, that makes sense, right? You've done it. Next, what's next? What's next? What's next? If it's a right brain type of person, right brain client, then they need to hear a whole lot of words of affirmation, usually around, that's just describing the awesomeness of what they've been able to achieve, and having a conversation with them about, wow, how different is your life now? How does that feel for you? What are the benefits? Can you believe back to your first assessment, when you could barely do this and now you're doing that? And really just having a conversation with them to reinforce the amazing change that they've had. So it's not just about numbers; it's about the feelings that they're having. If it's a left brain person, I talk more about the numbers, because left brainers are more about the numbers and percentages and all that kind of stuff. As your right brains are more about, wow, how well are you sleeping now? How does that make you feel each day? How much energy do you have? All that kind of stuff. So um, it's really about understanding each client, and and then reward can be different for each person, because I get to know clients well. From time to time, if they've reached a big milestone, I'll give them like a gift voucher or an experience or something like that they can really enjoy as well. And but it's more around the communication to keep them inspired, because motivation only goes so far, but to keep them inspired and engaged in their continuous journey, because it's about the rest of their life, and it's about sustainability and lifestyle, and not just, okay, wow, you've achieved, say, a weight loss goal. Well done. It's like, okay, let's focus on what's next for you. What's that next thing? And so we talk about those types of things. So, all right, we've got a technology question here. How do you stay updated with the latest research in health and fitness? How do you decide which new methods to implement? Well, I subscribe to a few different things that come across my desk. They're all free ones. Apart from the Wall Street Journal, that's not free. And I will look at, okay, what's happening in the space? Is there something new? So probably the biggest, newest thing that's happened here outside of AI here in Australia, it was slower to catch on compared to the US, but the weight loss injectables. So learning about that, I had a client that came to me and said that she'd started using them, and the results that she was getting, the cost, etc., why she started doing it, what it means for her headspace, making life sustainable changes, because these aren't life sustainable. What are the side effects that she's experiencing, etc., etc. I will read about those things. I do use AI. If I hear, say, a snippet of some new research that's come out in terms of how strength training helps dementia, I will jump into AI, and there's a bit of a timing difference with how up to date AI is. So sometimes I'll Google to find the story, and other times I'll use ChatGPT to just research that a little bit more, to say, okay, what's going on in that space? How can I learn more about that, and to then have conversations with clients and that kind of stuff as well. So AI is great at being able to say, give me all the research or the five biggest research studies that have been done on, this thing. Some of them are quite extensive, where they might have been going for 12 years of study, hundreds of thousands of patients and so forth, and say, wow, well, that's a lot of data. But now I dig into it a little bit and say, because the devil's in the detail, like what did they exactly say? So I saw an article just recently, for instance, saying that people that don't have a heart disease can actually have a worsening health from taking fish oil, but you have to look into the detail of it to say, okay, what are we actually talking about here? Because a headline can sound sensational and be misleading. So we've got to understand the detail. So I find ChatGPT is, or those AI tools that having a look at like you can find the actual papers and then go into the detail, get it to summarize, the key points, etc. What did it test? What didn't it test? Is it comprehensive? What are the shortcomings of the findings? All that kind of stuff. So I find AI really helps that. All right, I'm going to answer one more question, just looking at the time of recording up here. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self about health and wellness, what would it be? Well, so I started 36 years ago. So I was only, golly, I was 20 when I started. Would I have started a few years younger? Yeah, probably to help me. But the piece of advice, let me see. When I first started, I wanted to change the physical me. And I thought, because I was being bullied and stuff, and I thought, I'm going to change that. And I thought if I was a bigger version of me, I couldn't get any taller, but I could get bigger muscles. I thought if I was a bigger version of me, then that would give me more self-confidence, which it did. But it wasn't 4 years later that I realized that it really wasn't the physical me that was the issue with me. It was this thing up top, and mainly the little brain that was having a lot of negativity and toxic conversations with myself that were not helping me progress in life and really helping me become the best version of me. They were holding me back, and I was my own worst enemy there for probably a decade or more, until I realized that, hey, what are you doing here? Like this doesn't make any sense. Yes, you've changed the physical you. And I think then I started to also reflect on, as I was getting older, more health. Like when I started, like to be frank, it was all about aesthetics. I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to have that more self-confidence. But I think now it doesn't really matter what age you are, but certainly if you're younger, I want you to think about, well, how are you going to create that aesthetic body that you want? But don't forget health. In other words, don't sacrifice your health for aesthetics. And that means no extreme things. What can you do for the rest of your life? What are those things that you can do for the rest of your life? Don't take drugs, whether they be recreational drugs or performance enhancing drugs. Just don't do it, because at some point in your life, they're going to show up for you in a way that you will not like. You may enjoy it in the moment and say, wow, look at the size of me. I've got these big muscles. I'm taking steroids, all that kind of stuff. But it's a dirty place to be. And most people will hide it and say, well, no, I don't do that. Anyone that works in the industry can usually tell if you're really big, and you can usually tell if somebody is taking steroids or not. But it's becoming easy to get, and I guess more accepted in gyms that that's just what people do. You don't want to go there. Like it's really sacrificing your health. Now, thankfully for me, I've had that mindset right from the beginning. Even though when I started in a gym where there was drug use. Now, I didn't understand it at the time, but I wasn't interested. It wasn't shoved in my face. I didn't even know it until after I left the gym, to be honest. But I learned the foundations of eating and training there, because they were all so focused. It was just something that I never thought that I wanted to do, because that it went against my moral principles, and also it didn't align with health. So, yeah, I would just say that those couple of things there. So, hey, thanks for all your questions this week. That time goes by so quickly when I sit and answer these questions. I could talk for hours about this stuff. So keep sending them in. I'll talk to you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Set yourself up for success today.